it in Chinese. 百合,百合.
Did y'all really think I was not gonna make a video on Yuri? Come on now, that wouldn't be fair nor cool. After going through the yaoi I read and reading the yaoi I wanted to finish, because I'll admit, some BLs I read in the list were mid, no homophobia. Oh wait, I can be as homophobic as I want, I'm gay. Oh yeah, I'm monetized now. And once I finished publishing the video, the important thought came to me. What about Yuri? I immediately thought that making a Yuri video wouldn't work since I'm neither WLW/lesbian/sapphic nor a woman, so my perspective would not matter whatsoever. However, after talking to WLW voices, shout out to my friend Charlotte, and reading the genre, I decided to give it a crack. And while I knew of Yuri as much as I did yaoi prior to my video, I never interacted with it as much since I never felt attraction to women. It wouldn't really appeal to me, a gay man who likes man, until I read the genre. Much like getting into yaoi, I took this experience to open my eyes to not only a queer identity vastly different from mine, but also the perspective of women, their struggles, and their romances between each other. Reading and watching girls love content will not only expand my understanding of queer Asian stories, but also reflect on the woman in the LGBTQ community and get sort of a glimpse of what they like and experience. Sort of. So let's get into it. We all know what Yuri is. It's girls love. The art of woman loving women. It is the passion of women in love and caring for each other. Much like its gay counterpart, Yuri also has a cult following in Japan, with many lining up for the new girls love manga or novel alongside their gay counterpart, yaoi. And just like Danmei in China, Baiha has also been growing in popularity among readers too, catching up to its MLM counterpart. Countries like Thailand, the Philippines also have their own live-action dramas too. So, is it safe to say that yaoi is just a simple Yuri counterpart? Very, very, very no. While content-wise it's the same origin, it's not. Yuri has a more wholesome and nicer origin, and to explain, we have to time travel back to the Taisho era of Japan. In 1915, a young woman moved to Tokyo to pursue her literary career in Japan in the new 20th century. Living there, she ends up working with feminist writing groups to talk about the woman's experience in Japan, pose for magazine photos, sessions, and androgynous clothing, and joins in being part of the new wave of women embracing Western values and breaking their strict gender binary. However, she is not only known for this, but rather for her writing. In 1919, she published a novel in which not only explains and hints at her lesbian orientation and considered an autobiography of her romance life, but is considered the prototype of one of the first Yuri stories ever. That novel is Yanuera no Nishoujo, or Two Virgins in the Attic, and the woman in question is Nobuko Yoshiya. Born in 1896, Nobuko Yoshiya is considered the mother of most lesbian, Class S, and Yuri literature in Japan. Starting in 1916 with the Flower Tales, or Hana Monogatari series, she became popular among female readers for her portrayal of female intimate friendship and romance without husbands. Most of her literature was based on the life she lived as a lesbian who was not out, at least to modern standards, as she lived with her partner until her passing in 1973, moving around the world, experiencing World War II, and enjoying life with her lover in secret. Nobuko Yoshiya may not be a household name for many, but that doesn't mean she didn't leave an impact in not only the LGBTQ community, but history. Because of her and other female authors, the shoujo genre was able to slowly blossom, and for her, she helped develop a genre of manga dedicated for women who love women. Yuri is a part of Nobuko Yoshiya's legacy. Her writings are what helped a genre all about women who love women grow. So for this video, we're going to honor her legacy and many other lesbian writers who unfortunately never got the spotlight due to the hostile environments of the times, and talk about the manga and anime in the Yuri genre, as well as the live-action series that are produced in Asia thanks to the manga and anime in Japan. So, what did I read? Well, let's get into it. Yuri as a genre is one that, despite being overshadowed by every other queer narrative in the market, still has its own standing and footing. Much like BL, GL is a flexible genre that does not just stick to one romance moment, as Yuri flexes out and incorporates other genres to add more to the mix. Big names that come to mind when you think of Yuri are titles like Citrus Plus and Bloom Into, which, shout out to my local LGBT center for having a copy for me to read. I was like, wow, I can't believe we have it. I mean, they're the same people who had Our Dreams as Dusk, watch that video, but wow, that's really cool. However, I think we've talked a lot about Citrus Plus and Bloom Into You. It's one of the most popular Yuri mangas in the genre. So as much as I love their stories, I feel like it would be an injustice to just talk about them, and not talk about the many other Yuri mangas that I found. One example that I found myself really enjoying that didn't get the attention Citrus Plus and Bloom Into You got is a shonen-esque Yuri manga called Urasekai Picnic, a manga adapted from a light novel and recently had an anime adaptation in winter 2021. The story follows Sorawo Kamikoshi and Toriko Nishina, two girls who venture into this mysterious paranormal place called the Other Side. In the Other Side, they encountered the paranormal and spooky beings that haunt humanity, when in actuality, they're based off of Japanese web equivalents of creepypastas and urban legends such as Kankandora and Hashaku-sama. Wait a second. Two girls in love that are gay as heck go to the other worlds to fight creepypastas? They're literally living my 5th grade creepypasta Soul Eater fanfiction roleplay. Like, come on. I'm so jealous. They're living it, but without the Slender Man romance. Within the first few chapters of the manga, not only are the stakes of encounters established, we also get backstories for these two, setting them up to not only be complex characters with different goals, but also feelings for both that they want to share and talk with the other. Seeing them interact and share intimate moments while also juggling simple battles against the demons really set Urasekai Picnic as one of my favorite Yuri mangas I read, and of course, me being a weekly Shonen Jump nerd, I really did love the vibes of JJK, Dandadan, or Phantom Seer. Rest in peace, Phantom Seer. And trust me, I really wanted to highlight the fight scenes, but I decided to not only talk about the fight scenes, but also the romance. I decided to split even and highlight one arc, and that is the Kisaragi Station arc. After fighting Hashaku-sama, the two girls are seen chilling in Shinjuku, when all of a sudden, they're teleported into the Other Side. As they run from this car devil and the Hitogata creepypasta, they are eventually saved by the US Army, who is stationed in Japan, and then they team up to shoot a cow demon, then enter a train with man-eating monkeys, and I freaking love it. The thing is, we weren't robbed of any romantic elements at all with so much going on, as we got to see Sorawo and Toriko bond romantically while hiding in the camp, and we even got a nice romantic scene when they teamed up to take down the beast together. This not only shows how romance isn't sidelined for its over-the-top action, but how much Yuri has grown. Instead of just simple romance stories, Urasekai Picnic expands it to be a spooky shonen anime where two girls fight urban legends while also balancing their feelings and romantic ambitions between each other. And I'm glad we're getting to see that so much. I'm gonna definitely say this one was my favorite by far, and I'm gonna probably read the light novel after I read the manga. I'm glad we're getting Yuri like this. Yuri is a genre that is filled with variety. Like bears, I know that's a gay thing, but hey, lesbians have bears now. Yuri Kuma Arashi follows two bears who disguise themselves as humans to venture into the human world and learn about them. If you want to learn about assassins and something akin to Danganronpa, check out Riddle Story of Devil, where one girl has to protect the girl from being assassinated by her assassin classmates, when the goal is whoever kills her graduates. If you like horror and stuff that involves romance with the scary demon, well, Shinigami Alice is one that's really interesting and catches on the horror element with following the story of a demon who falls for a human, breaking her promise to kill anyone she encounters. And Yuri's Chinese sibling, Baiha, is not slacking either. Baiha is one that not only calls back to Chinese culture, but also has the romance that bypasses censors. Not only that, Baiha also ties heavily into gender, as it discusses women's roles in ancient China. The most famous one that captures it is Please Don't Laugh at Me's Qingwei Qisheng, or Clear and Muddy Loss of Water, follows Qiyang Agula, a princess who disguises herself as a prince to bring down a rival clan, only to fall in love with Nangong Jingyu. What is interesting about reading through JWQS is that Agula perceives herself as a male in a similar manner as, let's say, Mulan. And literary, this not only tells us the gender norms and the disadvantage women face in China, it also explores lesbianism through butch themes, as butches usually appear more masculine and wear girls' clothes. And I think that's cool that we're seeing a form of butch lesbianism in a non-contemporary setting. Shout out to butch lesbians. I salute them. Iconic. Another one I caught myself enjoying is actually a modern one, also by Please Don't Laugh. My Wandering Spirit Lady. Su Momo meets a ghost with unfulfilled wishes from the underworld, Lan Xingchen. After encountering her, they communicate and spend time together with the promise to fulfill the wishes within 3 years. This became an instant favorite, not only for featuring Hot Pot, because I love my Hot Pot, it also has great world building, from establishing the relationships between Sue and her family, as well as the underworld and talking about the people who reside in there, developing the interactions and making it feel more complex, and I enjoy that. Despite not having any major adaptations yet, it has a lot of promise, and I'm excited to read more once the hiatus ends. Overall, despite not being truly mainstream yet, Baiha does not fall behind at all, nor blend into its Japanese counterpart, establishing its own narratives and goals that make it more original. You know, one thing I feel like a lot of people watching this are going to expect in this video was that I was going to automatically compare Yaoi and Yuri and say which one is better and which one is not, which one has higher quality and all that. And honestly, I realized I don't want to, and I just want to highlight the different elements. Why? Because Yaoi and Yuri are different the same way gays and lesbians are different. While yes, we are same-sex attracted, comparing such would not do any good to any party. Yaoi and Yuri might be made for women as their target audience, but their role as queer stories don't automatically line up one-to-one, so comparing them quality-wise and saying one is automatically better than the other really isn't going to do anyone favors. Not only that, it will straight up undermine girls' love as its role in queer Asian culture. To say it's automatically the same thing really is not cool at all. Comparing them is okay, and saying which one do you like better, like for example arguing that, say, Given is better than Citrus, yeah, but to automatically expect Given to be an automatic one-to-one to Citrus as just boys with girls really doesn't do anyone favors. Not to mention another comparison I hate is that when one fan goes to another, boys love to girls love or vice versa, they automatically expect it to have the same tropes and ideas as the other. And I just think that's harmful, because why are we automatically saying Yuri is bad because it doesn't have the tropes Yaoi does, or it doesn't have the tropes Yaoi has, so therefore Yuri is automatically amazing? For example, one comparison I always see is that Yaoi is always seen as more erotic and sexual, when Yuri is 100% vanilla wholesome. I'll admit I was an idiot and I fell for that, but that is not true whatsoever. Women who love women, especially lesbians, have every right to be sexual as they feel, and Yuri captures that feeling. The manga My Cute Little Kitten captures that. While we see Yuna and Rena talk about their experiences together as a couple and care for their cute cat Chibi, we also see them, well, have sex and be erotic, just like any other couple. In fact, it's even a plot point in the last chapter where Yuna contemplates that despite being mostly sexually active with her, she feels she's not enough and thinks she's not wanted by Rena. I would love to talk about how it's resolved, but 16 is not translated, so far it's a cliffhanger. But what I like is that it dispels the belief that all lesbians and WLW couples are not sexually active, and they're 100% vanilla, as well as tied into a significant part of Yuna and Rena's story together, and I like that for an author. So if someone says that Yuri is not erotic, tell them they're wrong, cause sometimes they can be, and they have a right to. Another factor when talking about Yuri versus Yaoi when we talk about comparisons is that the theme of gender is more prominent in the former, and it's expected. I mentioned this in my Yaoi video. When it comes to Japan, men, regardless of orientation, have the upper hand in the patriarchal society. Yuri not only has women explore their sexuality and interests without the look of men in the way, it also serves as a way to commentate on the role of women in society and the biases they face, especially if they're a lesbian. I married my best friend so my parents can shut up shows this. The manga revolves around the protagonist Machi Morimoto marrying her best friend Hana Agaya due to the fact that her parents are always pressuring her with guys, telling her that she has to marry a man. The way the plot plays into the story of how woman must marry a man to make her family proud is a strong one that not only tests Morimoto's character growth, but her relationship with Hana. Chapter 3 captures this the best, where it not only shows Morimoto standing up to her mother, she also defends Hana. This is where we see the mangaka not only show how much Hana means to Morimoto, despite her more humble demeanor in the earlier chapters, but we also see Morimoto happy to stick up for her mom, pushing back against the sexist norms women in Japan face. What this manga shows is that women do want to marry, but sometimes they don't want to marry a man, let alone for their own parents' pleasure. They want to marry who they want, and sometimes it includes a woman. Yuri and Baiha is not just the love between women. Yuri is the love of women and their experiences. It's a story of two women finding each other through their struggle. It's a story of their love blossoming through the cracks of the patriarchy that's forced upon them. And it's a story of not doing your best for a man, but doing your best for the woman you love the most. Of course, Japan and China is not alone in the production of GL, as Yuri, or Girls Love, has exploded into the Asia drama scene. Countries like Taiwan, Korea, Philippines, Vietnam, Thailand, and Myanmar all jumping into the tales of women who love women. GL is an industry in Asia that's unique, as it never really sticks to just shows, as movies and some web series also take off with just as much success as their mainstream counterpart. In fact, some I dare say do better online thanks to lax censorship and easily better camera or sometimes more unique shooting. Pearl Next Door takes good advantage of this, as instead of just having the romance, they'd add elements such as love triangles, scheming among friends, and one thing that caught me completely off guard, discussing biphobia and conflict between lesbians and bisexual women. Not to mention, another thing that caught me off guard, but loved seeing, is the use of webcams for shooting. After finding out this was shot and made during the pandemic, can I say that, YouTube, can I? It's just so fun and really interesting. It's a product of its time. It's such an interesting way to create a series, and to think Girls Love Dramas capitalized on it and made it shine, especially in the Philippines. I've been wanting to highlight a Filipino Girls Love series since last time I didn't get to cover it from my BL video, so being able to talk about their Girls Love industry, especially one that serves as a spinoff for a BL, especially one that takes its use of 2020 extremely serious, as well as also comments on social issues women in the LGBTQ community face, is really awesome. And I gotta say, Pearl Next Door knocks it out of the ballpark. Even series that aren't fully Girls Love series, but series that discuss the life of women, are still valuable. The Korean Girls Love episode, I Don't Want to Hide Myself Forever, revolves around two women encountering each other and struggling to find equal ground in their love life. From the acting to the emotion they experience together, it's such a beautiful romance to see, and watch how they jump from falling out and hating each other to being together again. While this is just one episode and the series is not based off of their relationship, the miniseries also dives into the struggle of women in Korea, such as anorexia, caring for family with other opportunities, and marriage. Overall, Girls Love dramas are just as solid as any other Asian drama, and checking them out is just as valuable as getting the mangas and anime. I really love them, and I want to talk about them all, but I want to get to another point. With all this in mind, and considering how accepting Japan has gotten of queer identities over the years, it's safe to assume Yuri is pretty popular, right? Oh. Yuri is a genre that, although it has the impact and value, is forgotten and not discussed as much. The art of girls' love is one that has a fascinating history, one filled with romance, turbulence, and trouble. Nevertheless, girls' love is not that popular nor widely talked about, and that sucks. In fact, finding girls' loves that I wanted to talk about for this video was hard as hell. And Baiha? Oh, no official releases in America, just fan translations, and that was a nightmare to find too with all the links I had to keep track of. If there's one comparison on what one does better than the other with Yaoi and Yuri, is that Yaoi has much more reception, and while Yaoi is all the rave and popular, Yuri is left behind. For reference, you know how my Yaoi video there were other magazines like B-Boy, June, and other publications dedicated to it? The only Yuri dedicated magazine that I found that was still running to this day was Comic Yuri Hime, and that's on a monthly basis. It sucks that WLW and lesbian relationships don't get featured and forgotten in vain for others. It sucks that lesbians and WLW stories are thrown under the bus when in reality they're just as valuable as any other LGBTQ story in Japan. And I'm gonna be honest, Lesbian and WLW getting overshadowed is definitely not a new problem. For context, let me teach you about another famous lesbian in LGBTQ history. When people talk about revolutionaries and icons in LGBTQ history, we'll always hear the classics like Sylvia Rivera, Marsha P. Johnson, and my favorite Harvey Milk. However, there was one black butch lesbian who was also a drag king, and he was ready to fight and always protect the LGBTQ community, especially her lesbian sisters. And that black butch lesbian is Stormy DeLarvery. She is more famous for her performance on Harlem, where she performed in the Jewel Box, where he had a drag persona, always performing for mixed-race audience as a mixed-race woman herself, considering that segregation was just ending and it wasn't really popular. However, what he's most known for aside from being a drag king was also fighting back in Stonewall, where it's credited that she punched a cop and encouraged other queers to fight back, saying it wasn't just a riot, it was a civil unrest against injustices against queers, and she was a hero for that. Stormy was always ready to fight, patrolling the village and protecting the clubs and bars nearby, especially checking in on her lesbian sisters chilling in the bars. However, in 2014 she passed away from a heart attack, and when I hear about LGBTQ history now, I don't really hear about her enough. While yes, it's great to hear about other people, Stormy is just as important, as well as the legacy of lesbians always fighting for the community. For example, in the 1980s, lesbians started the San Diego Blood Sisters. When gay men were barred from donating blood because of the AIDS crisis, they were ready on the front lines to donate bloods to help their brothers in need to combat this crisis. However, if there's one thing that I've learned, is that lesbians, because of their status as a woman and a lesbian, get thrown under the bus, and that sucks. So why am I bringing this up in a video about Yuri? Simple. Yuri, much like Stormy and the lesbians ahead, were always about fighting for lesbians. They were always about fighting for women to love other women without the judge of others, and they were always ready to fight back and push against the patriarchy that has pushed them to the ground. Lesbians, much like Stormy, are strong, and Yuri and Girls Love Stories are just as strong. Whether it's strong in fighting the supernatural like Sorawu or Toriko, or fighting against the patriarchal norms that are expected of them, much like Morimoto and Hana do. It's all about fighting back and being strong, and Lesbian and Yuri and Girls Love Stories deserve to just be as popular as Boys Love and any other LGBTQ manga. Nobuko Yoshida and Stormy Delivery were strong, not strong just for themselves, but strong for people like Soraru, people like Hana, people like Rena, people like Shiyang. They were strong for the people who are women, who love women. So I want to say, if you're a lesbian watching this, I just want to let you know, I love you guys so much as a cis gay man. You're our sisters, and I support y'all. You are the strongest, and also a reason you're first in the LGBTQ, and I can't stress it enough. Thank you for always being there and ready to fight on behalf of our community. You will always be remembered. Even if not everyone talks about Nobuko or Stormy Oko's mainstream, there'll always be one cis gay guy who will always stand with his lesbian sisters. And if you are not a lesbian or someone who's a woman who loves women and want to read Yuri and Girls Love or watch it, go ahead. It's really good. In fact, I will leave some resources like the Baiha card that I found, as well as also some Yuri information down below, as well as an information on Stormy Delivery, so that way you can read that too, because lesbian stories are just as valuable. Lesbians and Yuri are strong because they are all about strength to show against the patriarchy for women who love women. Thank you so much for watching this video. I was really struggling with this because a lot of the Women Love Women who I interviewed actually said they liked Yaoi, and I was like, huh, that was interesting. However, I still wanted to shine and highlight Yuri Girls Love over Boys Love because women just deserve it, and lesbians and women who love women, whether it's bisexual, pansexual, deserve their own video for this. I mean, I made a video on the G, I made a video on the T, I made a video on the L, so you're gonna expect a video on the B next. Just saying, a bisexual video will be coming out soon. Hopefully it's by the end of the month, if anything. By that I mean like August, depending on when this video comes out. But other than that, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and if you're a lesbian, definitely comment on what you think, because I learned best. If a lesbian tells me I'm wrong, I'm definitely wrong. I respect lesbians better. Trust me, they're better than cis gay guys. Believe me. But anyway, and also I'm going to be attending FlameCon. So if you see me there or you're going there, let me know. I always like to meet people and like talk to, like, you know, it's cool. Other than that, follow my Instagram, follow my TikTok, follow my Twitter. It's going to be in the link below. If you want to support me monetarily, donate to my Ko-fi. It'll also be down below. And just have a great day and enjoy. And if you're LGBTQ, especially lesbian, stay safe out there. Just remember, I always got your back.